Welcome to Daggers and Shadow Daddies.
We're your hosts, Ryan and Adriana.
Strap in and strap on.
Warning, this podcast contains explicit content. It's all vibes and no facts.
Prepare to be spoiled.
Wait, no, these are spoiler-free episodes.
We might still spoil you.
So far, the cutest relationship is between Justinia and Sawyer.
Oh, I thought you were going to say the Venom lady and Violet.
Oh, that one's not cute, but that is a great
You don't
relationship.
think it's a little cute?
Yeah, really cute.
She's like, here's the deal. I'll take care of you, little bird. Instead of Bernard or whatever the other guy's name was.
Oh, yeah, she's just something about choose me when you turn.
Yeah, she's bitching about some other Maven guy. He's like, he sucks. I'll let you keep your pets.
It's almost like she was wielding lightning just to show off.
She was wielding everything to show off. She's awesome.
She's like, look how badass I am. I'll be a great teacher.
I hope she comes back soon. So far, she's my favorite. She's awesome.
I don't see how we're going to see her soon. They're not leaving the wards, and they're also going to go north.
They don't need to leave the wards.
They're not even going to.
She was downstairs in the basement dressed in a scribe uniform and then popped out of existence down there.
Oh, you're right. She did say I should have hung out there longer.
It's only their lesser magics that seem dulled.
What do you mean their lesser magic seemed old?
They thought the Venom only had lesser magic. So I think that's all they warded against.
So she could use lightning within Bezagaeth?
I don't know. Potentially, but she seems to be able to do the distance wielding thing. In and out of Bezagaeth.
Oh my god, she can bring them in and out of Bezagaeth.
Ta-da.
That would mean she would have to know what's in there, right? You would have to know where you're going to be able to go there.
Perhaps. I don't know how exactly she got in. I know she blinked out.
You're right. Oh, wait, I forgot all about it. We knew she was hanging out there as a scribe.
We don't know for how long.
Yeah, I thought she was there for quite some time.
Yeah, I did not. I assumed that they showed up slightly beforehand, knocked a couple scribes down. I didn't think they assimilated into
Scribe.
Gaia society.
Oh, yeah, scribe culture.
Yeah. I didn't think they were like plants, sleeper cells. I thought they were just being mildly sneaky.
Who do you think is the Venom that is within the scribe quadrant?
Currently?
Wasn't that what Barlow was implying, that there is somebody there?
Yeah. I actually think it might have to do with Melgren.
Melgren.
Or not Melgren.
Markham.
Markham.
But how do you hide your red eyes?
I don't know that he's a Venom. He may just be a sympathizer.
A Venom sympathizer?
Well, so I'm coming at this more from the way the Cold War and stuff worked, where they were all concerned about the communists and so on and so forth. It wasn't that they had to be from Russia or from China. It was people that sympathized with that cause that may have been U.S. citizens.
And a scribe would sympathize with not being bonded to a dragon or griffin.
Yeah, they can also just want power. They want knowledge. They must have some form of yearning.
This is such a content-heavy book. I am missing so much in all of this.
Oh, dude, yeah. I'm probably picking up on a third of it. I hope people go to places that are doing real deep dives to just get all this information, but it would be really overwhelming for me. I'm looking forward to a reread.
Yeah, I think we'll do our 5 chapters, talk about it, 5 chapters, talk about it, and after all of that, just listen to it one time all the way through without any breaks while we're at work or something like that, and then just sit down of, oh my gosh, now that we know this happened at the end, look what I caught here or here or here. Just kind of that.
Just have a 9-hour episode at the end.
9 hours.
It's going to be a good time.
We ended with Theophanie saying she knows everything about Violet and asked her who bonded her first. She is very interested in the irid. And Andarna is so adorable because she's just like, oh my God, there's a name to what I am. And she's really excited. And Violet's like, get the fuck out of here. You need to be leaving. And she's like, I will never leave you. She's like, you probably should. Chapter 11 starts with an excerpt about consequences of humans bonding griffins and dragons and how will balance be found because of this. I think we did learn a little bit more from Barlow that it does sound like dragons and griffins are pulling from the source and that they pick and choose which humans are allowed. And that is part of the motive with the Venom.
The Venom kind of looked down on the griffins and the dragons.
He called them gatekeepers.
Yeah, and then he called them creatures. He said, why should it be up to some creature whether or not I have power?
Yeah, so they view themselves as more powerful than dragons.
Well, they view themselves as different. I don't necessarily know that more powerful, but they view themselves as equals in deserving of the power.
Well, wasn't part of the reason the first 6 bonded was because combined they were more powerful than separate? Even the dragons, having access to this magic and power, cannot wield it and use it without a rider. To the same degree, I guess, if they were without.
Yeah, I think that's the nature of it, is it was more of a mutually beneficial deal.
But then Venin, they don't need that, and they just...
There's a give and take everywhere. Either you have to deal with a dragon and what they deem you're worthy of, or you trade your soul.
We'll have to get back to Barlow when we get there. And I hope that I took good enough notes. Andarna is an irid. Theophanie is immortal. She makes this comment. She's like, yeah, mortals are like that. And she wants Andarna and mentions Xaden will show up. Violet argues with her on this one. And as we already talked about, she says, well, when you do, choose me and not Berwyn.
Yeah, not if.
When.
When you're choosing a teacher, which I think also is an interesting thing we're getting to see into the Venin scope. They pick whoever their instructor, so to speak, would be, who they look up to, who they carry a tutelage under.
Barlow even mentions that part of the reason why they can sense each other as initiates is for the maven or sage to find them.
Yeah, and they don't know how to control their power well enough to hide it.
It didn't seem like Theophanie actually meant Xaden is going to show up in this scene, but he is going to show up to find a teacher type of thing.
Yeah, that eventually he'll want to feel like he has some semblance of control, is what I got from it.
Which is terrifying, because I definitely get that vibe that Xaden would choose a teacher in order to get control, to protect Violet from himself.
And I don't know that this makes them innately bad. As much shit as I gave you for this last time, where you're like, maybe all the Venin aren't that bad. This lady is a shitbird, but she doesn't seem to be a Venin evil shitbird. She seems to just be, kind of, she does what she wants.
I think it's because you think she's hot and mean.
Are you seeing this differently then?
No, she does sound hot and mean, but doesn't...
I meant, though, does she seem to be compelled to do something, or does she seem to just do exactly whatever the fuck she wants to do?
I think whatever method she used to become immortal makes her a bad person, because there are consequences to that to keep the balance.
Sounds true.
And we learn it's actually Garrick who is the distance walker.
Yeah, I was so wrong immediately.
I was really taken aback. Like, I thought it was Garrick, but I couldn't wrap my head around why he would have a second signet. I thought, well, maybe we're going to find out about his family. And I think what we landed on is it's the relic.
No, the dragons. The dragons that chose the riders that were marked specifically chose riders that they were related to.
No.
Yes.
They chose them because of the relics.
No. They chose it, the way that Xaden words this is the dragons specifically picked us as riders, not the other way around.
Yeah.
And the relics wouldn't give you a second signet. Otherwise, Xaden would have a third signet.
She says it's the relic. How often does this happen? And he's like, not often enough that Kaori has any records of it.
I don't think that's what was said.
While I'm searching to fact check you on this, I see another moment of Traeger talking to Kat. He pulls out a chair for her so she can sit down.
Yeah, he's crushing.
At that time, I was like, who the hell is Traeger? Why are we talking about him as if we know who he is?
He does grills and stuff.
You are ridiculous.
He's a pellet smoker kind of guy.
It's after their kisses. I think it's actually in chapter 12.
Well, I think you're probably correct. You seem very committed.
Found it. Okay, so she brings it up to Xaden, and she says, but after 20 hours of flying, gave me some time to think, you, Garrick, and I once thought I saw Liam, ... Xaden interrupts and says, wheel dice? She nods, and she asks him, how often do second signets accompany these particular relics? He says, often enough to be sure Kaori can't possibly have accurate records, but not too completely that anyone questions why I only present with one. Our dragons came looking for us. They knew what they were doing. Giving you a better chance of survival, Violet asks. And he says, if you want wax sentimental, more like building their own army. More signets equal more power. So the dragons chose them because of those relics, because the dragons knew they would have a second signet.
Well, every rider with a second signet, it wouldn't have mattered which dragons bonded them.
Yeah, that's what I got from it.
Okay. I took it differently. I took it as they all had a connection, because we've never heard of you being able to almost guarantee a second signet in anybody. And if you gave them all a rebellion relic now...
Yeah, why doesn't everyone get a rebellion relic?
Correct.
Maybe not a rebellion relic, but the fact that runes can give you a second signet?
Yeah, seems a little odd.
I think we've talked about this. There was a theory about this going around. We brought it up in one of our talks. I think what we landed on then was, or at least for me, that Liam's ice wielding was a mistake. But to back up the second signet scenario, there was a moment when Imogen was sparring with Violet when they first met, and somebody yells at her to stop using her signet. But yet, that would have been weird to use the memory thing and for somebody to be able to spot it. And we don't know what that signet was, but somebody yelled that out. And I think those are two instances where it's not a mistake and that this was intended.
Yeah, I would agree. At this point, it's either been retconned so well that it doesn't matter, or it was done intentionally. But I still have questions as to what the fuck with the relics, though.
What do you mean?
Every marked one got bonded then, and nobody thought that was odd. Does that make sense?
Everyone did bond, and I think it was Sawyer who went a second year, and he's not a marked one. Marked. Yeah.
But I'm saying, wouldn't it be odd if you have this group of people that consistently get bonded every time?
At that point, there was only like 2 years of them, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, how often do they have riders that don't make it through?
Never.
Or not get bonded?
The marked ones always get bonded then.
They always got bonded.
Because the Empyrean has its own...
The Empyrean's own rebellion that was happening behind the Empyrean's back, just like what Xaden was doing.
I don't know about that yet.
You're still not convinced?
No.
I think that's fair.
I'm cautious about a lot of this.
About the second signet?
Well, about everything. Because the way we're getting new information is awesome, but there's so much of it. I don't think 15 chapters in, I don't think I've got it all yet.
But that would mean we still don't know what Oryx signet is, right?
Right.
We didn't even get to learn about it here in this last chapter, chapter 15, with sparring with Xaden.
Nope. No, we still don't get to know shit about Auric.
I think he's doing it on purpose.
Again, how is nobody asking questions?
Especially Xaden when it comes to the sparring. He's so busy flirting with Violet.
Especially everybody. We get this one dude whose eyes happen to match the king and the prince, and it's not exactly a recessive trait. Looks like the royal family.
I think what I landed on with nobody recognizing Auric with his eyes and knowing that he's nobility was not many people interact with nobility. And those who do have recognized him right away, but many writers wouldn't know this.
Yeah, but also nobody's asking questions about why your signet hasn't developed yet.
That one's weird.
And he's sort of broody all the time.
Do they not have like a Professor Carr anymore? Is Professor Carr even there? They don't have a class helping them with their signets. Violet even points out here at the end of chapter 15 that a lot of the dragons aren't even channeling right now with the first years. And that seemed odd to her that they don't have their signets yet.
Yeah, well, and Auric's a second year.
Oh my God, he is a second year. He's definitely.
Right? Or is this a first? No, Auric's is first year still.
And right now it is not safe to Google anything for us.
Not even a little.
That's frustrating. We've made it like 2 notes into chapter 11. We keep jumping ahead. We learned that Garrick is a distance wielder. I didn't really enjoy how this was revealed to us. That's just my personal take. I just didn't think that the groundwork that runes could create second signets was laid until this very moment when it was surprising. I was very surprised. I didn't know runes could do this. Well, the relic was created by the rune.
Right.
Being used.
Right. But that's what I mean. The rune itself isn't producing a second signet. It's the rune that protected you, which created your relic, could then help you produce a second signet.
Yeah. Tairn starts to wake up. In this slow way, she feels it building. Tairn turns and snaps at Theophanie, and she gets lifted up by a wyvern, and it was very badass. I understand why you like her so much. And she just like swooped off, leaves, does her own little thing. It's interesting that she chose to leave that way. It's almost like rubbing it in their face that she is better than them because she can just disappear, and she chose not to.
Oh, every part of it. No offense, but she could have just touched the ground and murdered Tairn.
Oh my God.
Like, She very much was just like, you're welcome. I've left these people alive. I've left those people alive. I left this guy next to you alive. I left your dragons alive. I'm a giver. And when it comes time for you to make a decision on who you want to learn from and be a part of,
you can see
me.
Yeah, she's like, you can see how empathetic I am. I only killed their parents. Isn't that really sweet of me? And then we learned that
worked on me.
They're 7-year-old boys.
Yeah, they're 7-year-old twins.
And I'm glad she didn't kill children, but I mean...
Right. Good for her. The parents were part of the problem with society.
Oh my God, stop it.
She's like, I left a couple possible solutions floating around, but...
Violet asked Tairn if he knew that Garrick was a distance wielder. And he says we don't gossip about our riders, but then proceeds to do so with Violet by telling Brennan's dragon that she got hurt as soon as she showed up.
And Violet calls that out right away.
She's like, oh yeah, we don't gossip, do we?
Yeah, it was really funny.
This is a funnier book.
Yeah, it's weirdly heavier and lighter-hearted.
Garrick has way more lines.
Riddick.
Yeah, who'd I say?
You said Garrick.
I meant
Garrick
Rick.
also has some funny moments, though. And Brennan has a couple funny moments. Violet's had a funny moment or two. People are generally funnier. Xaden seems lighter-hearted, considering he's soulless and really fucking up a lot lately.
I have really sad feelings about Xaden. Here at the end of these chapters, he's a lot more flirtatious, but he seems like he keeps getting kicked down.
By feelings?
No, like every time he tries, it just seems like it fails.
Refreshing. I agree.
You do?
Yeah. I actually feel a little bad for Xaden. I do think communication would solve a lot of his problems, but I don't know why he would suddenly get good at that. But he's doing better. The decisions he's making seem short-sighted. We'll get into that, I guess, when we get to that part. For right now, let's take it from where we're at right now. Violet shows back up. Brennan mends her knee.
Oh, and the way that Xaden helps her with his shadows, I thought it was really cute. As she flirts with him, what else can you do with those shadows?
How is this the first time this has come up? We've been talking about this since book 1.
Clearly, Rebecca Yarros has heard the people.
Heard the people? Rebecca Yarros had to write this guy with shadow dildos in mind.
I think the shadows were used, and he was massaging her thighs during a meeting.
Yeah, it's not what I'm looking for.
You want your thighs massaged by Xaden?
Yeah, but I want him to use his lips.
Ew. Brennan mends her. Maren's brothers are there. They're 7 years old. And they look familiar to Violet. And she kind of plays it off of something like why they look familiar. But I think it's because it was Maren's dream. And I think that...
Dreamweaver. Gary Wright. Violet Sorrengail. Together again. Reunion tour. All right. I'm done. I'm mostly done. Would you say she's a Dreamweaver?
Dreamweaver Signet, absolutely.
What would you call her if she were a Dreamweaver? If you were to give her a name?
I don't know. I don't know where to go with any of this. I am so sorry. I am unprepared.
Oh, no. What's his first name?
Gary Wright.
Nice. So you just call Violet Gary. She's walking through...
We're not getting a second Gary.
A second Gary?
That's what you called the last FMC.
No, I didn't. There was a character called the Weaver, and that character was Gary Wright. Now, this is just another alliteration of Gary. Gary, too furious.
I swear, if there is a Gary, every single book we read...
Oh, perhaps it'll be a tired plot point?
No, you will be the one who's blamed, not the books.
Understood.
Aetos shows up, and he is...
Which one?
Mad. Obviously, the pissy one. Dane just seems to be getting kicked down.
What's his rank?
General.
General Aetos.
I didn't hear
some spec on that name.
I didn't hear you giving that to Lilith in the last 2 books.
Sexy Sorrengail? What do you mean?
Which was the sexy one? The mom?
Yeah. She got that Pixar build, know what I'm saying? Start calling her Miss Incredible.
It's just sad because she's dead now.
She can still look good and be dead for a while.
Oh my God.
Funny. Okay, not funny.
Brennan corrects Aetos and says he's a Sorrengail and changed his name tag.
Did he?
Yes.
Oh.
Aetos calls him Aeserai, and he's just like, Sorrengail to you.
Yeah, but also, good on Aetos for learning his name so quickly. He just found out he still lived last chapter, and then this chapter he's like, Aesorai. Immediately switched terms. I'm like, wow, how respectful of him. And he's like, actually, it's Sorrengail. And at a certain point, you gotta be like, this guy's just fucking with me.
Yeah, actually, that's a really great point. As a general, you should have known that Brennan was already alive by this point, because it was actually weeks later.
You're right, it was weeks.
It's been weeks since Iron Flame, technically.
There was a lot of news happening.
And then to learn his new name, maybe he's heard about Aesorai, and then he actually meets Aesorai, and he's like, oh my god, it's Brennan. We're like, yeah, that's Aesorai. He's like, no, okay, that's how this got by me.
Yeah, but still, he managed to switch what he was calling him right away, and then Brennan's still offended. And he's like, I'm a mender, I go where I want. Wherever the wounds guide me.
Honestly, I wouldn't have expected Aetos to
respect the name.
To respect his name.
Yeah.
If the next time they meet, he calls him Sorrengail. So now he switched from calling him Brennan Sorrengail to Aesorai to Brennan on Brennan's terms.
He's an asshole. He's not intolerant.
Yeah, actually.
I think he would probably be good with pronouns. Honestly.
I would think so too, or I'm impressed. Other than disowning his own son. So,
you know, though, we as parents have that latitude. I'm waiting for our son to do something where I can be like, haha, I don't own you anymore.
You would never. You would be broken.
I know. But I like to pretend to be tough. Let me pretend now.
Yeah, just tough guy.
Tough guy. I'm a tough guy.
Men that disown their children are not tough.
Well, they could be.
They're not.
It sounds like a really hard thing to do. I'm just saying.
Well, it looked like Aetos did it with ease.
Every time you look at him, you don't just see their little baby faces. Like, every time I look at our son, sometimes I just imagine he's eating cereal at the tiny table we had him.
Oh, yeah.
Remember how he used to do that? And he used to sit in a little chair that was colored.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was such a cutie.
I don't think Aetos looks at Dane that way.
Ridiculous. No father can look at their children and not see these tiny babies.
Aetos kicks Xaden and Garrick out of the school, telling them, you have orders to follow, and it's not in my school.
Yeah.
And it sounds like the refugees are not actually welcome in Nevarre.
They're not welcome there. They're welcome in Tyrandor.
And that's where the boys are headed.
They are now Tyrish citizens.
Yes.
He moved them straight into citizenship. The paperwork in Tyrandor is going to be a pain in the ass. He better bring some scribes.
Yeah, there's no scribes there, is there?
Well, there might be. We don't know.
Justinia was their best, and she's now been demoted.
She got taken out of the Rising Star program or whatever the fuck it was called.
Yep. But back to chapter 11, Xaden then kicks everybody out of the room, and he's maintaining eye contact with Violet when he says this, and I find that really charming. And
I'm listening.
You do not. And he gives her a kiss when she expected a scolding. Chapter 12, there's a letter from Xaden to Violet of...
Delivered through.
I don't know who it was delivered through. I thought it was
supposed to look like Garrick sent it to Imogen.
Nope, this is a different one.
Oh.
This is an excerpt that it was like recovered between Xaden to Violet, and he left her a note that he is apologizing for leaving without telling her because he didn't think that he essentially was safe for her.
He didn't think that he would leave if he had to say goodbye.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Chapter 12.
Hold on 1 second. We got music to go with this.
Oh, do we? What song?
He's leaving on a jet plane. Listen to that song and tell me that that's not the song for it. So,
I know the song. You used this for the last time that he left her when he had to go to Samara.
Yeah.
And then he was like crying.
It's in secret.
While with his goggles on, they're just filling up with tears.
That was a funnier one because I didn't appreciate Xaden as much in that moment. In this moment, I actually do feel for Xaden. Xaden he's in a tough spot.
Yeah, he keeps getting kicked down. Their kisses continue. They talk about his fear of losing her, and at one point he yells,
like Tarzan.
At one point he yells, I know that. And instead of him pulling the shadows in the room, the shadows fled from him.
Yeah.
What did you think of that?
It was weird.
Weird?
You don't think it's weird?
I thought it was a sign that in that moment, that was Ven and Xaden.
Yeah, I think that's fair. Although it's not that his Venony power eliminates his shadows, which I find weird. His shadows were more intense when he first drew from the source. I think it's him trying to oust his power in that moment because he doesn't want to run the risk of losing control.
Oh, okay.
I don't think he was calling for the shadows, and they're like, no, and then they went away.
Oh. Like a little dog.
Yeah.
They're like, no, you can't make me.
Yes.
And he adds he would drain the earth to his core to protect her. I think that scared her because she's telling him, no, you wouldn't, or something like that.
She was bringing up that he still is aware of priorities outside of her, that other things matter to him besides her. And then she lost all comfort in that when he's like, nope, not really. You're it.
Yeah, and there's another moment later when she's like, the Codex. He's like, fuck the Codex. I don't go by that.
Why would she ever assume he would live by the Codex? She has not met him one day where he lived by the Codex. It throws me off that she acts like this is somehow binding to him.
It means something to her.
Yeah, but not to him.
But only sometimes to her when she is okay with it. I don't know. She did commit treason a few chapters ago.
This is kind of my point, is this isn't really binding to any of you, except for sometimes. I like that they keep citing it. Dane seems to be the only one operating under Codex currently.
Yeah, but not really. He agreed to help Violet go in the chambers to steal something. I can't imagine the Codex is okay with that.
That's true. Codex probably doesn't say you can bend the rules when you feel like it. All right, fair enough. You're right. Nobody values Codex.
He talks about not being enough for her because he shouldn't touch her. And she says she wants whatever he can give her. I think he actually does suggest keeping clothes on, not touching her, and only kisses. As you have suggested, he could just wear gloves.
Yeah, get a body condom, my guy.
Oh.
What?
Yeah, hey.
Latex suit? You'll be fine. You guys are going to learn something about yourselves. Riddick's like, I got a gimp suit you could borrow.
I forgot all about that.
It'll be just fine.
And that's when they have their conversation about the second signets. She just comes out and says it, which seems really bold because Xaden, I guess his was a life or death moment. We have already hashed that one out when he went to a cliff to tell her about his second signet. It wasn't the fear of her knowing he had a second signet. It was the fear of what the second signet was. But I found it shocking that she just came out and said it instead of saying it in his mind that Garrick has one.
Yeah, because there could be a super listener floating around. And Garrick's out here wielding a second secret signet that is one that hasn't been around in centuries.
And I'm seeing that all of these very special signets coming out is a sign of how powerful the Venin are if there is balance between the two of them.
I'm wondering why only the marked ones get the super secret squirrel sweet signets. And Violet.
Because they have a sense of need for more secret squirrel stuff. And his distance wielding isn't a secret in the same way like Xaden's is a secret related thing. He just kept it a secret.
As he should. If there haven't been one for over a century, he's going to be looked at like Violet is.
For the same reason that you thought it was Arik who had it. He didn't want to be used by Nevarre with it as a tool.
It's going to be a super weapon. Imagine you could move fleets of dragons instantaneously anywhere.
That's another thing. When we were first talking about a distance wielder, could they take their dragon with them?
Yeah.
He clearly can. Would this mean that Xaden has a triple signet?
I don't even know anymore. I refuse to. Xaden won't even have signets anymore. He's going to get Maven powers. He'll get all the signets like that lady's got.
She has like 3 of them.
Or more. We don't know. She may have even more.
I swear, if we find out Xaden has another secret signet from Violet, I will lose my mind.
Well, I don't think it would be a secret from her currently that he's aware of. He would learn when he goes to learn from the Maven.
No. What I mean is you get a signet from your dragon. We now know he has a second signet because Sorrengail bonded his grandfather. That was a secret. And that we found out about.
Right,
and we just now learned that you can get one from your relic. Does he have another one?
But is it a guarantee that they get a second one from the relic? Or is it just likely?
I don't know. I don't.
I don't think he's aware of a third signet. I'll put it that way. I doubt he would have kept that secret from her after the tumultuous bullshit with the last one.
I think that's fair. It ends with her sharing the Venin can wield lightning, and it trails off that she tells him everything that happened.
Bye by NSYNC would have been a better song for him to leave with.
Why is that, other than it's a fun song?
Because he's leaving her. Do you not remember the lyrics to that song?
No, I don't.
No. Well, you'll listen to it later. Take a moment later, and you'll be like, wow. Xaden. Silly goose.
Wow, Xaden. In the next half of this chapter, this is the moment of the letter from Garrick to Imogen, and Violet says, I don't think this letter's for me, and Imogen just kind of says, why would Garrick ever write me a letter? Clearly, General Aetos was going to read every single letter that Xaden sends to you, and she just hands it over to her, and it's still unsealed, so Imogen didn't look inside of it, and it was
still sealed.
That's what I meant. Yeah, it's still sealed. Imogen didn't look inside, and it really was a letter from Xaden to Violet.
I'm not going to lie. This is not a great plan either. Do we really think Aetos is so dumb not to just basically read everybody's mail that's going in and out?
Does he have the time?
Well, I think he has the people. He has the manpower to do it. This letter is like 2 paragraphs long. How long is it going to take a scribe to dig through that bad boy?
Oh yeah, you could just have the scribes do it.
You could have anybody do it. They're going to break the code of V and signed X. I think they could possibly get through the enigma that is the code Xaden's got going.
The code within this code is a Xaden broke and he pulled from the source again.
Right.
But it was to save civilians. So the purpose behind it again, this is 3 times, and only 1 time was it selfish, and that was the bedpost.
And was it selfish?
Oh, yes, it was selfish.
Pleasure.
I think it was for his own pleasure. After the letter, Grady doesn't know what to do. He has his dragon interrogate Andarna, and that doesn't go well because I believe tairn and Andarna threaten his dragon, and I love Andarna's quips. I almost have enough scales to get you armor the next time.
Yeah, it's really funny.
And we get a brief moment of learning that Heaton is alive.
Heaton is alive.
Nothing really happens, but they are alive, and that is now finally confirmed, and I am very happy.
We knew Heaton would be. The order of importance of characters goes tairn, Andarna, Nevarre, Violet, Xaden, Heaton, Rhiannon, Imogen.
Yeah, I would say that's fair. Heaton's right up there.
And Riddick. Riddick is actually before Violet. And the new Venom lady is actually right after Andarna.
After Andarna, but before Nevarre.
And Sorrengail goes underneath that lady, but just before Nevarre.
I am very concerned.
Somebody write that down.
Ryan's order of importance. The whole point of her going to Heaton and Emery was to use them to get down to
Chinatown.
Down to the cellar where Barlow was, and they immediately greeted Imogen. I think Imogen is hanging out with them often enough for doing these little secret missions with Emery and Heaton, and they're like, oh, you brought Violet with you type of thing. They talk with Jack. Jack looks like garbage. They offer him an imbued medallion that will last him a week. They can sense each other. We learned that from a question.
Other than the sages and the mavens.
Yes, because of how experienced they are.
Fucking bad, man.
Ooh, I want to touch on this note of what Jack looks like. When Jack does get the medallion, he pulls from it, all of it, not even in doses. I thought he would try to space it out. No, he just pulls everything from it at once. But he plumps up. It's like food.
Yeah.
The purpose wasn't to be able to wield power or do anything with it. It was to survive.
It's their life force now. I'm on board with this.
That is shocking.
No pun intended, Violet Sorrengail.
So does it start off with a temptation like how Xaden did, and you can use it to become more powerful, but then why are all the mavens and sages all gross?
They haven't had a place to feed off of in a long time. They've been in the barrens, so they just get little tiny meals. That's why they want to get to the hatching ground, because there's enough magic there to sustain them for a long, long time.
I think where I'm getting confused is we see these high up Brennan. They look gross, like Darcidius, other than less wrinkly. I actually haven't seen them be described as wrinkly at all. I just put them in that category. I did that
to them. Their skin gets thin
and pale.
White.
And now we see Barlow is looking similar and gaunt and on his deathbed.
This is the first time we've also heard them described as gaunt.
He plumps up, but we don't see them plumping up when they pull from the source.
They may not be malnourished.
They've just lost so much of their soul now.
Yeah, their skin, they don't get a lot of vitamin D. They're always in robes. No?
It's always nighttime. I don't think we've seen them out in the daylight.
I think they did. When they went to the outpost and the new one, the new lady,
that was daytime. I think because of the tornado, I thought it was dark and evening, and it was like a thunderstorm going on.
Oh, man, I took this as afternoon because Violet could see her from a long ways away.
Oh, yeah. How do you see someone on a dragon up in the sky waving at you?
There's a headlight over there. Tairn, point your headlights that way, and Tairn's like, woohoo. He just rips the pasties down and shines a beam. Dragon nipples. Do you think male dragons have nipples?
We've already confirmed that Tairn has nipples when we were talking about Liam falling the first time, and that Violet and Tairn slow down time. And from Liam's perspective, they jump
in on his nipples.
Yeah, and he has farsight, so he's all zoomed in on him from the distance. And then Violet and Tairn just pop up, and you were like zoomed in on his nipples. And in my head, Tairn's had nipples ever since.
Really? I forgot I said that. We shouldn't have gone with that. I don't think lizards get nipples.
They shouldn't, because how does that work with scales?
But they've got peen.
Internal.
Well, semi-internal.
Like an alligator.
Yeah. Sometimes it's not all internal. Sometimes it's out there.
When he needs to use it.
Or when the wind hits him just right. You know what it's like being a boy.
If he has nipples, is it 2 or 6?
What do you mean? There'd be 12.
12?
Of course. Double the normal amount of nipples, he's twice the dragon.
Wait, they have eggs. They definitely don't have nips.
Oh, can they not have nipples just because they have eggs?
I guess you have nipples and you don't breastfeed.
But I also don't have eggs.
I guess Tairn could have nipples if you do.
Maybe they're like a platypus.
What do you know about platypi? Platypuses.
So, there's so many cool facts about them. They are a god's mistake. They got little poison claws, right? Like their dew claws poisonous. They lay eggs, but they secrete milk from their skin, almost like sweat. So the baby's got to like lick that off. Yeah, they're a weird critter.
What's this have to do with Tairn having nipples?
Well, he could be like a platypus. Dragons lay eggs like platypus. No nipples, also like platypus, but secretes milk from his skin for feeding his young.
We're going to end on Tairn has no nipples. He's a regular dragon, and he also doesn't have a penis.
Whoa, he does have a penis for sure. He's got big dick energy.
It's not out and about.
We even went over sizes. Yes, of course. Tairn's got a monster hog.
I think you determined it to be 8 feet.
Yeah, I think we did the math and it was 4 and we said not enough.
Double it. Give it to the next dragon.
And we did. Tairn's him.
H-I-M.
Tairn's got a monster dong. He's got no nips, but he secretes milk when necessary.
This is disturbing.
What do you mean?
Wait, what if
She only do lady dragons that secrete milk?
We're supposed to be talking about Barlow and answering the questions.
Oh, Barlow has nipples.
He does.
Yeah.
Anyone familiar with magic can pull without training. We have been theorizing this, that riders and flyers that don't make it are becoming venom, that they're tempted. But they've never pulled from magic, so how would they know it's there or how to sense it?
With it, perhaps. Maybe somebody's been like, hey, this is how you do it. And they're like, oh, cool, I guess I can just try a little magic. And then they're hopelessly addicted to magic. Magic is just a crazy euphemism for whatever substance.
Cocaine.
Cocaine.
He thinks anyone should have access to the source without having to use gatekeepers. That's what he calls dragons and griffins. He thinks there is no cure because why cure something that isn't cursed?
Right. I don't know how you could assume that if you're about to die. You clearly have a cost. It's so weird to just continually go, I'm not diseased. Well, you can't fix what's not broken. Be like, well, maybe we could improve it then. Fuck, come on, man.
As you're just shriveled there on the floor. You look pathetic, Barlow.
You seem broken.
And the chapter ends with Barlow saying he can feel her pain in the cell. It was such a good line. It cut me, and Violet just rolls with it. And she's like, yeah, I'm pretty familiar with pain. How about you enjoy it?
So Violet was hurt by that statement, though.
She was, but she pulled herself together quickly.
She did great. I just mean Violet's not inhuman. She was like, oh, man, this guy's good at getting under my skin. He figured that out quick. And then she immediately made herself feel better. She's like, I live in pain. It was a Bane moment from Batman, where she's like, I was raised in the darkness.
It was, wasn't it?
By it. You were merely sent down here days ago, type of thing. She's like, you aren't but a guest to pain. I live in it.
Do you think he actually could feel that in the rocks?
Probably. I don't know how exactly his magic works at all. But I know that if I was trying to piss Violet off, it wouldn't be a bad place to start.
I think when I heard it and thought, okay, if he can feel that, then that would mean...
He's an empath.
He's an empath. He can feel the rocks. Pain.
Okay, fine.
That her mom is really within the ward. Everything that her mom is imbued in the ward.
She's become the flame of Nevarre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Imogen and Violet open the door, and there's Riddick, Rhee, and Sawyer. And she's like, can't you guys do anything without each other?
And the answer is no. And Sawyer's like, I literally cannot walk without these people.
Oh, yeah. Wait a minute.
He didn't say that, but he should have.
He doesn't have
a peg leg yet.
He doesn't yet. Chapter 13. I think I'm emotional reading this book and just very overwhelmed because I cried in chapter 13 and there was nothing sad. It was just overwhelmingly cute. I was feeling a little embarrassed getting overwhelmed. You're like, what are you doing right now? I'm like, it's really adorable. Sawyer and Jasinia's relationship is really cute.
I was not trying to upset you. I was genuinely curious if I misheard something.
You're like, oh, what happened?
I'm like, what is going on? That this merits tears. Like, and you were weeping.
It was not like weeping. It was more like...
It wasn't sobbing. It was weeping.
It was also a mix of laugh crying because I was laughing at how emotional I was feeling.
It seemed like you were feeling a lot. And it's great that you were. I was just confused because I'm like, oh, fuck, maybe I missed something. So I was like, last I heard, he just kind of got dressed up when he was excited to get his leg fitting done.
Yeah. Sawyer got dressed up, got a haircut, shaved, and as he puts it, he put this god's awful hunk of wood to his leg before going down there.
Yeah. Oh, you're weeping again.
No, I'm not.
I'm not weeping. You're weeping. You're right. It's very cute.
Because he's really struggling with this new version of himself, and I think Rebecca Yarros is doing too good of a job at writing it, and it is impacting me.
I think it's amazing because you can see where he realizes he needs the confidence of who he is now to develop this relationship with Jasinia. And Jasinia wants him. Like, why is their communication bad? Well, because he doesn't sign and she doesn't hear.
They have great communication. He knew something about Jasinia that she hasn't shared with the group, and Sawyer's just like, we need to tell them, and starts telling them. And she's like, I don't think they need to know. He's like, no, they have to.
That doesn't mean that he and Jasinia have good communication. It means Sawyer has good communication with everybody in the group.
I guess I took it as they had their own conversations where they were open and communicating with each other, even though I don't think they're technically in a relationship. They're still a situationship.
Oh, okay. So here's the thing. I'm too fucking old for this debate. I don't know the difference. What does situationship mean?
It was Xaden and Violet for most of the last two books, where they weren't really officially dating.
But they were.
They were.
It was understood. They just didn't give it a title, and that's called situationship?
Yeah.
Huh. Okay. All right. I'll run with that.
Chapter 13's excerpt is Jasinia failing 3 exams, and she is transferred to Professor Grady. When I heard this, I was thinking she's transferred to Professor Grady for this new mission that's going on. And I thought Jasinia was going to go with them, and maybe she still will. We aren't far enough yet to know. And will she meet a dragon and bond one?
You did. You said, what if she bonds one of the irid dragons or whatever they're called? Descent dragons. What are they?
Irid.
Irids. Okay. They could have called them Descent dragons and that would have been fun. But whatever. And it did not occur to me this was an option. You're like, wouldn't that be cute? And you are 1,000% right. It would be awesome. I want to touch real quick on the Sawyer and her thing, though. It is so adorable that Sawyer is like getting his hair cut and he's like, I'm going to have to sand my leg a little. Really sparkle the place up for it. It's really cute that they're able to convey his excitement and nervousness without it being overtly said.
And they make fun of him for it, and he calls him out. He's just like, why am I getting harped on?
Then they accurately throw it right back at him because he has this little moment where he's like, I don't know why you guys are giving me shit. He's like, Violet and Xaden fight like an old married couple. Riddick's jump bed hopping like a bed frog. Bed to bed to bed. And then he's like, and then we got Rhee and I always forget her name.
Tara.
Tara. And he's like, so it's bullshit that you guys are always picking on me. And they're like, okay. No, it's not bullshit that we're picking on you. The rest of us, it's all explained. Violet's like, we don't fight like that. And everybody's like, yeah, you fucking do. Shut up.
She's in such denial. She's like, no, we don't.
And I think Riddick's the one that breaks this ice and is just like, really? A bed frog? Like, you came up with frog for hopping from bed to bed?
That's the best you could do?
He's like, Jesus, you're not fun at all. He's like, you're bad at this game. He's like, and I can do whatever the fuck I want because I'm having a good time. I'm not attached. I'm enjoying being single. And then Ree is like, hers is kind of sad. She's like, we're both in management positions. We don't have a lot of time. We like to get together when we can, but our relationship is greatly strained by our jobs.
That is rough.
Right? When I heard hers, I'm like, fuck, why is Ree in such a good mood all the time? Her life blows.
But I really enjoy that the friend group isn't treating Sawyer differently because of his injury. They're harping on him just like they were before.
Yeah, and it's the appropriate thing to do. And it's the appropriate thing because he needs to be harped on a little bit. He's such a little goober, and he should be picked on.
No, he shouldn't.
Well, he should be picked on.
He is being so sweet to Jesinia, and Jesinia deserves it.
Yeah, no, I like them a lot. I like the idea of them being together. But I think it's cute. If he didn't get picked on, then it wouldn't be fun.
In the same scene, Riddick signs to Jesinia that he wants to be on the quest squad because she's working with Professor Grady. And she's like, do they even need an ice wielder? He's just like, well, maybe. We don't know yet. And she is so mean. You caught this in the last book. The way that she talked to that first year, you're just like, that first year did not question Jesinia and what an asshole she was being.
Yeah.
And they got to see it firsthand. And she's just like, I'm educated and you better treat me as such. And you won't see that side of me.
Yeah. Jasinia's kind of a dick and I like it. Sawyer's into it. Sawyer's like, okay, I got my haircut, got my fancy leg on. We're going to get there. And then Riddick's like, don't worry, I'll translate for you. And he's like, I won't even ask her for any crazy sex acts or anything. And that's when I think Ree is like, fuck it, I'll do it. Like, we're not even giving you an opportunity to fuck this up.
And they're both signing this, and Jasinia's just watching them say all this. I was just like, I'm not even going to ask. Or it was almost like Riddick was offering to help get Sawyer laid, and he's signing it the entire time.
I think he was actually going to try to help him in earnest.
I think so too.
But then Sawyer like gives up her secrets immediately. And she's like, what the fuck, man? Why? And he's like, oh, I probably shouldn't have said anything to everybody. But here we are. I did already.
What did he share with them? What was that
she
again?
was demoted.
Oh, yeah. No one knew this.
Right.
Doesn't she wear a different robe because of it?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think so because Violet didn't seem aware of it before that moment.
Oh my gosh. And there was one point where Sawyer signs that he wanted to be there. It's like, I wanted here. Like, oh, I'm so sad. Oh.
Well, and he's trying and then he gets flustered. And that's when Riddick offered to cut in.
That's what
he's
it
like,
was.
I'll help you out. And I won't even fuck around with sex stuff. And that's when Reed's like, no, he's not going to help you. I'll do it. We can't trust him.
Jesinia talks about how many missing papers there are in the archives and was even more shocked after seeing what is the list that she gets from Queen Mariah?
Mariah Carey.
Not Mariah, Maria.
We'll go with Mariah Carey. That's what I'm going to say.
Queen Mariah Carey.
Yeah. I don't know what the list is. Sorry, I got distracted.
The list of all the books in her library.
Yes. I don't know. What's that list called?
Don't know. Guess we're not going to know. In the books that Jesinia did find, it sounds like they need to be leaving the continent. There are these Isle kingdoms, very little information on them. And Violet just now remembers that her father's research is probably something that they need to go on this quest. And she needs Dane to betray his father. And I love how they pointed out it should be pretty easy. His dad just disowned him in front of everybody.
Violet's like, no. He left the kingdom, but not his daddy. He's going to be loyal to his daddy. And then everybody's like, I don't think so, Violet. You're smart, but you're not a good judge of character at all.
And then when she asked him, he really was like, yeah, let's go do it. He's like,
you fuck my dad.
You could ask him yourself. It might be better. And she's like, no, I think we need to steal it. He's like, all right, he'll be out next week. Let's go.
Yeah, no questions. Just rumming through it. Who do you think is going to be Dane's love interest? Do you think he's going to find a Venom girl?
He has to find a love interest because I'm getting tired of feeling really bad for him right now because it is sad and pathetic how lonely he is.
But he is actively doing things. He doesn't seem sad.
He doesn't, no.
He seems like he doesn't require a relationship, but it seems like it would be nice for him to get one.
So he has somebody on his team.
What about Kat's right-hand person?
Maren?
Yeah. Maren and Dane could work out.
I think that could work.
She's strong, bullheaded. She's a little bit like Violet. Not that he should be looking for an analog to Violet, but it seems like the things he likes about Violet could be present in her as well.
I think that's fair, yeah.
All right, well, consider me shipping those two until something else happens.
They go back to class and they get a new book called The Guide for Vanquishing the Venom. I do not know who wrote it.
You didn't write that down?
No, who wrote it?
Damn it. It seemed important at the time. It doesn't matter.
And the book was written by Captain Lyra Dorwells. This is not, or maybe it is Lyra.
Yes, Captain Lyra, whatever.
I've been spelling her name wrong this entire time.
Yeah, whatever.
There is one little part that is not included in the book, which is, it is confirmed Sage and Maven can wield signets. They are told that there will be 3 more classes, and Riddick is dreading it when there's already a quest squad that he's not even invited to go on yet.
Well, he's still only partially through the quest squad book in his preparation to be asked to be on the quest squad. And it's brought up that he's not even been invited yet. And he's like, yeah, but for when I am, I'll be ready.
I'll be ready. End of chapter 13 is they are no longer allowed to kill each other on the mat. The end of chapter 3 is the beginnings of Bezgaia changing its rules. Rules that you and me have harped on, especially you, more than anyone, of the absurdity of the amount of killing that's going on in Bezgaia. And Nevarre calls this out. We need you guys. When you guys are sparring, you are not allowed to kill each other. You're not allowed to use your signets unless you are with Professor Xaden.
Professor Riorson.
Yes.
Who gets introduced just now.
Yep. Xaden is going to be teaching the signet sparring class, and Violet realizes they're no longer allowed to bang.
Yeah, which is heartbreaking for her, but also it wasn't happening anyway. The crazy thing is she's like, we're broken up now. And he's like, no, we're fucking not.
That was fucking sad.
Yeah, no, I felt bad for Xaden. I'm like, why is she so fucking dramatic?
It never even crossed his mind that he can't fraternize with the cadets.
Why is she suddenly listening to this? She wasn't allowed to fraternize with him when he was the wing leader either. All of a sudden, it's a big deal. And I get it because Aetos is watching him.
I think it's slightly different when you're both cadets when he was the wing leader. Yes, it was wrong, but they were technically both cadets. And then when he was a lieutenant, they weren't stationed in the same area. They were in 2 different locations. But now he is literally her teacher.
Yeah, we're hitting a lot of real inappropriate tropes.
I think it's intended to be the complications of the age differences going on between them.
And this is 2 years, I might add. This isn't people that are 8 years difference in age. Imagine he also has like a couple kids from an ex relationship.
That is very complicated. Thankfully, it's not like that.
But wouldn't it be cool if all of a sudden somebody comes up to like, Daddy? He's like, I don't know this kid, and it looks exactly like Xaden. It's got little shadows just streaming around the place.
Chapter 14, Violet tells Rhiannon the complications of Xaden teaching because she's like, aren't you excited? She's like, no. And she's like, why? And Violet tells her, Codex, blah, 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 blah. And Rhiannon's like, damn. Then Violet goes and finds Dane, and they talk about it. And Dane's like, oh, yeah, Codex, blah, 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 blah. And he realizes the situation.
He doesn't need to be told, I might add.
No, he just knows it.
She's like, Xaden's a teacher now. And he's kind of like, oh man, why are you bummed? And he's like, oh, I get it. Because he's the second smartest person in the building.
I don't think second smartest person in the building. I think knows the Codex as well as Violet.
Also speaks Old Lucerish, helped translate a bunch of shit. I'm just pointing out, we can hate Dane from Fourth Wing.
I don't hate him now.
Be upset with Dane from Iron Flame through most of it. At a quarter of the way through this book, you can't be upset with Dane anymore.
I'm not.
You gotta, I'm not blaming you. I'm saying us, we, the royal we, as a reader. We gotta go, man, Dane, he's a valuable dude. It's a good thing they didn't kill him off in the first book.
Ooh, I don't think that she actually talked to him about the Codex yet. She finds him, she sits down side by side, asks him for help to steal the research. We've already talked about that a little bit.
He is also there, I believe.
He is. but giving them privacy to talk about it. And Xaden and Kaori walk in on them talking. I'm surprised there wasn't any mention of Xaden being jealous other than he makes a comment to Violet when she says, don't worry, Dane is blah, 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 blah. He's like, don't worry, and Dane shouldn't be in the same sentence. I'm surprised he didn't get pissed when he first walked in, just seeing them sit by each other talking and whispering.
Yeah. Here's the thing. She could at any point through their mental bond have talked to him.
He keeps his shields up. She's always checking. She can't find it even.
I'm not blaming her entirely for this. I'm blaming Xaden also. Why are we not working on effective communication? Xaden, before you take a job, maybe talk to your significant other about that job. Hey, that would be neat. Just call each other on the old dragon line.
I think they both knew that he needed to be within the wards, and this is what got him there.
He couldn't have prepped her at all for him walking in that room.
Maybe.
It seems to have hit her like a ton of bricks. And then they don't discuss it through their minds while it's happening or anything afterward.
He doesn't let her in that often. I'm assuming it's tempting.
Very independently right now.
Very. But I think that's what they both want.
Yeah, it just seems like a real shame. You guys got your secrets out and now you guys are operating as independent contractors? What the fuck?
All right, I'll give you that one. So they walk in, see this. I think this is when the conversation with Dane, realizing the complications of their relationship, and somebody says, are you two broken up? And Violet says yes, and Xaden says no. And it was sad, and he repeats, no, we're not. And she's just like, yeah, we kind of have to be. General Aetos shows up and immediately denies their exemption request.
Yeah, he said, Pancheck doesn't get a fucking choice. I'll handle it. I'm in charge.
But Xaden then tells her mentally, like, well, we can still sneak around.
Well, yeah, she's like, well, what are we going to do? And he's like, well, we always fucking do. We sneak around. And I'm like, okay, I see where he's coming from. But also, you guys aren't that sneaky. You guys got caught most of the time.
She points out later that they can't even sneak around. There's so many people watching them all the time.
Yeah, it didn't work last time.
I thought it kind of worked last time.
Varys was onto their shit the whole time. That's why Violet ended up getting tortured. They are not that sneaky.
Okay, yeah.
They ended up recruiting half of Vesgaius riders because she literally couldn't sneak around more. They murdered Varys because she couldn't be sneaky enough. And then she's like, fuck it, we need to tell everybody the truth because we're not gaining any ground this way.
Okay, yeah, in this moment, they're not getting away with it.
She tried to sneak off to pour a meal and Xaden was already there. Every time she tries to sneak, people are there. She tried to sneak downstairs. Her sister was there with the guards, and then her brother was in the room she was sneaking into. They are not good at sneaking.
Maybe these people are just so close with each other that they know what to expect, just like what Mira said.
Yeah, maybe that's it. Maybe she's secretly really good at being sneaky, but there's so many good finders or seekers, I should say, that she's just ineffective. Ineffective?
Maybe. Then that scene ends. Dane walks Violet to class.
What? Hold on. So first, Xaden's like, I need you two to get the fuck out of this room. So Bodhi and Dane are like, okay, we're leaving the room. And then Daddy Aetos shows up and he's like, hey, just to get ahead of things, you guys are going to ask for this. And Xaden goes into his pitch onto how he would ask for the exception so they can maintain a relationship. And he's like, nope, fuck you, denied. He's like, see, that was fun. Look at me go. And then Dane walks back up. He's like, oh, better go to class, Violet. Let's go. Do.
Yeah, it's a lot more innocent, but I'm surprised there wasn't a moment of the shadows just kind of holding on to her a little bit. And maybe they were. But this is why I feel bad for Xaden.
I don't think if you're Xaden, you're that worried about Dane.
True.
Dane's not exactly Mr. Steal Your Girl.
Chapter 14's part 2 is Captain Grady's meeting, and there are crude drawings on the map of the Isle Kingdoms. Grady is very unprepared for what they're about to go do, and it sounds like he's really bad at choosing riders, and
He seems like a weird choice for this.
Yeah, what did he do before this?
He's the one that prepped him for getting,
RCS.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he's very good at strategy, what I get from this. Xaden enters the room like a badass. I thought it was smooth. What do you think?
Yeah, it was smooth. It was a dick measuring contest between him and Grady for a second. And this is where I think they were selling Grady short because they acted like, oh, he has no plan at all because this other group of riders is such an eclectic group, right?
Grady says that he picked everyone in that room because he trusts them. That was the first thing he said. I think it was trust first, signet second.
Yeah. and then he picked basic signets, but that's kind of an advantage. If you're going to use these people's signets, there are probably more documented use cases of each of those signets if they're more common. So if you're trying to form strategies, having signets that are predictable and well understood would make sense.
True. And I think Xaden's kind of doing the same thing when it comes to picking people you trust first, because his first thought was somebody for warding and begins his argument of why it should be Mira. While, yes, having someone for warding is the core piece in choosing someone for signets, I do think that Xaden's main priority is keeping Violet safe and having somebody extra there that he trusts.
Who did Grady pick?
Also Mira.
Also Mira. That's my point, where it turned into this dick measuring contest. He's like, I'm waiting to hear back from so-and-so if I can have Mira, or if I can have this ward person. And Xaden's like, the only logical choice is Mira, blah, blah, blah. Why didn't you ask me? And he's like, yeah, I understand she's working there, but this is her commander. That's who I'm waiting to hear back from. Who do you think I chose, dipshit? And he's like, you could have just asked me because I'm actually the king. The Duke, whatever. It was neat. The way that Violet enjoyed him wielding his authority is not something I enjoy. And I think that's going to be my irritation for this book. Him all of a sudden being like, respect my authority and ask me things is so counterintuitive to the way that Xaden did everything before this.
And I think during this whole conversation, they're foreplaying.
Well, yeah, Violet sees it that way. Yeah, well, Violet's getting horny. And then he's rubbing her leg with the shadow. And he's like, oh, yeah, baby, you like that shadow? That's what it can do.
All while staring at the map. He's just staring at a single spot.
Yeah.
People are like, Xaden, are you here?
Her eyes are getting a little funky. She's panting a little. Things are getting crazy.
They're just moaning in the corner, and he's just looking off the other direction.
Everybody's hair's starting to stand on end.
Oh. Yeah, so Xaden argues with Grady. Xaden and Violet are mentally flirting, and he's using his shadows. And Violet wants to go south, but Grady decides on going north. And I don't even think it's that far north. I think it's just north, but within the wards.
I think they're going to leave the wards.
But they're not going far because they have to keep coming back and reporting in after each section they check.
Right. But I think they have to get out of the wards. They have to get out of Nevarre. They're checking the Isle kingdoms and stuff, right?
And only the ones that they feel comfortable checking.
Which would be the ones they're very aware of.
Yes.
Because part of his choice also has to do with dealing with leadership of these other kingdoms.
Do you remember why Violet wanted to go south?
No, probably the weather.
I thought it had something to do with that was the last point of contact between Nevarre, last known contact between Nevarre and the Kingdom Isles.
Okay, yeah, I believe that. I don't remember the details of this.
Me either, but she...
really distracted by how horny she was.
She's like, I'm so horny, but I need to go south.
I want Xaden to go south.
Ooh, and south did he go. Chapter 15, Signet Sparring Class begins. Again, they have these flirty thoughts, back and forth, back and forth. She's super turned on seeing him in his fighting leathers. I don't know what they're called.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
I assume he's doing it shirtless. That's how he used to spar.
Oh, this time he has clothes on.
Gross. Sweaty leather shirt.
Violet asks, is this where you've been hiding? And I think so.
I don't understand how he's been hiding. He was just in the other room with you.
He's been hiding in the warded pit. I think as she's going about her day and in these classes, she's always trying to check on him and she can't find him.
And they warded this room so heavily because of the damage that could be caused outside of it, that if you were worried about drawing from somewhere, this is probably the safest place to do it.
I was going to say, it sounds like it's warded really for Xaden with the benefit of also working for a Signet sparring class. Violet is reflecting on the books that she has read, and there are no records of a dragon torching a venom. We've talked about this a little bit, and I'm leaning into there's something very special about her flame. Maybe it's just her scales. Obviously, Andarna is special. Violet invites Xaden to go out for the weekend because they're going to take Sawyer, but Xaden doesn't want to go.
Yeah, he really has become a homebody.
Well, I think because you're not allowed to fraternize, he would just have to sit at the bar and just watch them and drink all by himself and just watch her have fun over there.
Nobody knows what it's like. One is the loneliest number.
I'm just picturing him in the whole sparring pit with that song going.
One bourbon, One scotch.
Oh, we didn't even touch on...
When I drink alone, I prefer to be by myself. George III or Gordon Lightfoot. I can't say that.
We haven't even talked about Sorrengail. The only reason that he quit pulling from the source, or maybe he almost did but didn't,
He started to.
was because Sorrengail finally spoke to him.
Yeah, and by spoke, she fucking yelled at him. She's like, "You piece of shit, stop." And he's like, "Oh, okay, all right, sorry, my bad." I pictured like the dog that keeps humping the chair. And you know he's not aware you're there until you're like, "Fucking stop." And you like toss a slipper at him or something. And they're like, "Oh my God, sorry, I was overcome." So he kind of keeps humping the source. And you're like, "Stop it. Fuck."
But I think Sorrengail is still not talking to him. So as he's there, he's still lonely.
Yeah.
But a little less because Violet talks to him every once in a while.
He's about to be incredibly depressed. He's about to be a real emo shadow daddy.
Oh.
Cut my life into pieces.
This is my last resort. Did I get the lyrics right this time?
Yes.
Sweet.
I would swallow my pride, I would choke on the rhyme, but the lack thereof will leave me empty inside. One day I turn inside out, find nothing but faith in nothing. Wanna put my tender heart in a blender.
This is how we get away with copyright issues. We just sing it ourselves.
You don't think we sound close enough to the original? We're gonna get DMCA'd. Watch it spin around to a beautiful oblivion.
There's a cadet that calls Xaden out on just graduating last year, and now he's a professor, and how stupid that is, and has no respect for Xaden. And Xaden's like, "Come on out." He's like, "You're a metallurgist, right?" And they have this little sidebar of the conversation about a metallurgist, which is Sawyer. And Sawyer still doesn't want to be a part of classes.
Yeah, which, to be fair, in this particular instance, I kind of get it.
Yeah, he'll be there. He'll come back.
He's a metallurgist. Why doesn't he get a metal leg?
Oh my God, he could make one.
Yeah, it could be made out of whatever the adamantium type shit they got, the alloy. Give this motherfucker an alloy.
Wow.
Yeah.
That would be so badass. And then he could use his leg as part of his fight and like pull metal from it and make little weapons.
Yeah, Magneto is shit.
Wow.
He like goes to kick somebody and he falls a little short, but he uses metallurgy powers to kick just a little further.
That is so cool. I didn't even think of this. He could like have a full-blown weapon attached to him.
Yeah, he could be the weapon.
Well, maybe he doesn't.
There's no metal saddle.
He doesn't even need a saddle. He just needs a metal leg.
Well, it wouldn't hurt. I don't know. He could have everything metal. He could get armor. He'd be kitted out. He'd look like goddamn Iron Man coming at you.
That would be so badass. I love Magneto also.
You do. And Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, and now Sawyer?
Sawyer.
This is great. I am pleased. I am now rooting for Sawyer in many ways. Justinia, this is exciting.
He's got a metal dog now.
Oh my God, no.
What? Just saying, what's harder than steel, baby?
That sounds like something Riddick would say as soon as he shows up with his metal leg. And Riddick's just like, that's not the only thing he can make.
He has been enhanced. We have the technology. You thought he was impressive before. He's the $6 million man.
But Xaden and this cadet's fight is badass. There's a moment when Xaden lets him walk behind him and he just maintains eye contact with Violet the entire time. And she is loving it. Everybody else is like, oh my God, what is happening? And you just have people just like, I kind of get why she's into him. This is hot. And the guy comes up to strike him and he uses his shadows and strangles him, all while maintaining eye contact.
Yeah, which is what you do if you have shadow powers. It's a little broken, to be fair.
What do you mean?
The shadow power? It's fucking broken. We went over this last time. They hear things, they sense things, they obscure you from vision, they are corporeal when they need to be. They're a really overpowered Signet.
I guess I thought his timing worked with his intrinsic power.
Maybe, but I think the dude's intention the whole time was to fucking hit you.
Yeah, but the very moment he would know.
He intends on striking me at this exact moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if it gives you an exact location.
No, the shadows are just there.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, he knows when the shadows are. He can feel where the shadows are. Your chin has a shadow casting on your throat. He knows where that shadow's at.
Do you see what I'm saying? I'm saying the shadow power is so overpowered. It's awesome. I'm not complaining. I like it. That's the whole reason I like Xaden, is he's an overpowered motherfucker. But also, like, yeah, who's going to compete with this besides the Venom lady who doesn't need shadows to lift you off the ground and choke you?
Is Xaden more powerful than Violet? Yes.
It depends, I think.
How can Violet fight Xaden with her lightning signet and not kill him?
His shadows better get real good at affecting things. Otherwise, you better get ready for 108 scars.
Oh.
Just going to tase him a little. It's fine.
Yeah, just constantly just shock his dick or something. Just like, boop,
Why
boop.
his penis? Why shouldn't she just shock him, period?
As a woman, if I had Darth Sidious magic and I should just go, boop, I would do that.
Tase my penis?
Not you, because I like you.
She likes Xaden, like, a lot.
Yeah, but they're sparring.
Okay, so if you had Violet Sorrengail's powers and we were, like, wrestling, you'd be like, just a quick 110 to the nutsack. That'll get him up.
Yeah, just to remind you who's boss.
I don't know about this. It's not a no, but I'm not certain.
I'm eager to see how the fight goes because
I think it's going to be shocking his penis.
Well, I don't think it's going to be that, but I think any instance of her using her signet on someone is killing them.
No, I think she could dial it back.
We were just talking about Sawyer and cauterizing his leg.
To cauterize a leg is enough to hurt him badly, yes, and she did not have the control. Now she seems to have some control over this.
Fair.
This is too powerful to die. That's all there is to it. I do think Xaden is ultimately more powerful than Violet is.
I think something's going to happen in the next chapter that will lead Xaden to pull from the source when fighting Violet or something. Or she's using her signet and it's very tempting.
And she's like, haha, gotcha. Oops. He's dead.
No.
Cured, I think.
I think there's going to be another moment of his temptation or lack of control.
This could be. She flashes him and then she zaps him.
She
got him by surprise.
Just flashes the whole crowd?
Well, she points her nipples at him. And lightning comes straight from the nips. Machine gun jugglies.
When she notes.
It's like Austin Powers. Pew pew. She just blasted him.
She points out that the Venom lady doesn't even need to raise her arms to use it. It's because she's using her tits the entire time.
Yeah, straight from the nips. Wouldn't that be cool?
No.
You don't think that would be neat?
No.
Violet's like, I have magic nipples. Just lightning arcing between her nipples. I think that'd be sick. It'd be like taser noises, just like tick, 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 tick.
I do like that so far the two most powerful people are women.
Does Xaden.
And then you got Xaden.
Who I feel is right up there.
We kind of jumped ahead there.
We did.
Xaden spars the metallurgist. He obviously wins, keeping eye contact with Violet. Super hot. He fights everyone one by one. And Xaden plans to point out everyone's weaknesses in this class since the Venom will use it to their advantage. Traeger says to Kat, after Kat gets done fighting Xaden, and she seems defeated not only in losing, but also pining after Xaden. And he says to her, it seems like a waste of time to chase someone who doesn't want you when there are plenty of people who do.
Do you think he's only speaking to Kat, or do you think he's also speaking to himself?
I don't know. What do you mean?
Kat doesn't want him and he's chasing Kat. It's the same logic.
Oh, but he's shooting his shot right now.
He's been shooting.
Yeah,
I might add.
Oh, no. He pulled out her chair for her earlier, and I'm like, who the hell is Traeger?
Said, you mind if I push your stool in?
Ryan.
No? All right. I'm glad that got you.
Oh, my God.
That's not a new joke. That's so good that worked.
Oh. I think it's the fact of my realization as it just started. Oh, well, this chapter 15 ends with it being Violet's turn. And what does she say to him at the very end? Don't let me kill you?
Yeah, basically. It's something like, don't make this too easy. Also, I'll be careful not to hurt you type of thing. It was just this mountain of confidence.
Violet is confident in this book.
She should be.
Yes.
Wielded lightning almost as well as the Venom lady. She's a monster, and I love that.
Something I didn't think about is we see Violet aiming successfully, wielding lightning, handling Tairn's power, taking on Andarna's power. Even if we don't fully understand all of it, she is taking all of this on. But yet we get to meet someone and see a comparison of where Violet still needs to be.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even think of that. Yeah, she's just like, she didn't even raise her hands. I didn't really consider what that is also telling us. There is so much more learning for Violet.
And that lady's going to be a good instructor at some point for Violet.
Oh.
That's how I took it. But she's like, hey, you're going to want to learn from me. Because these people, they can get you somewhere. But if this was the last lightning wielder that now is a Venin, which is what I think is the case, I think she's been alive for hundreds of years, and she was one of the original 6 that had uber powers, and she's just been collecting them ever since.
Did you notice the tiny detail of Violet looking at a painting of the first 6 and their dragons, and she says there isn't a 7th?
Yeah. I think she was more upset by the fact that that means they're still not acknowledging that they were full of shit.
Oh.
That's how I took it.
Oh.
How did you take it?
I took it that somebody separated, or before the end of everything happening, there was already a separation.
Fair. I could see that too.
Let's read the next 5. I love you.
I love you.
You're my bestie.
You're my bestie. It was a great time. We had fun. Now get out and go live your life.
No, wait. No. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate and love you all. Please follow us here, TikTok, or Instagram at Yarros.Podcast.
And then go live your life.
Bye.
Bye. Get out. We're done. This was Daggers and Shadow Daddies. Now it's my time. Toodaloo. It was fun for us. I hope it was fun for you. But that's all we've got. Goodbye. Come back in a few days. We love you.